Good evening, everyone. Tonight is the Town Council regular meeting, Wednesday, February 15th, 2023, at 7 p.m. in the Town Hall Green Room. Can we all stand for the pledge, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item number 2, visitors. Are there any visitors that would like to be recognized at this time? Any visitors? Hearing none, we will move on to item number 3, which is the approval of the minutes for the February 1st, 2023 meeting. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
A second? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Thank you. Item number 4, appointments and reappointments. We have 2 on the agenda tonight. The first would be Hank Teske for Town Council for a term until November 2023. First and foremost, thank you for showing up. Step 1. If the council has any questions for Hank, he's here. I mean, I think everybody knows him. Know what you'll bring to the table, so if everybody's good with that, I'll just look for a motion. If anybody have any questions? Yep.
Move his appointment.
Okay.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Thank you. It's good, you already gave the interview, so now we're good. Now you can go, we're good. All right, congratulations and welcome.
Yes.
Good news, you got a meeting tomorrow night at 6. So we'll see you.
And every night there.
And it's a budget meeting, so it's even better. All right, the second one, and I'm not even gonna lie. How do you say your name?
Chinzia?
Okay. See, there it is. So she's going to be for WPCC for a term until 2025. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
A second?
God bless you.
Any discussion?
Yeah, God bless you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Thank you. Thank you again.
Thank you.
All right, on to item number 5, which is the suspense list that we all have. So there is a grand list personal property, I guess this would be a deficit, or there are to be collected of $22,996.60. So what do we need, just a motion to approve this? Just a motion to approve this suspense list.
I'll make that motion.
A second?
Second.
Any questions on it?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Okay, item number 6, the appropriation request for $3,600 for landfill capping project. So we're just looking for a motion that the town council hereby appropriates $3,600 from the landfill capping reserve account to fund the additional engineering for permitting and deep permitting fees.
I'll make that motion too.
Second,
Second.
any questions?
I do have a question. Carl, is this the step that you take to maybe get it moved up the list a bit? You're saying that it's taken some people a year, and you wanted to take a step to,
Yeah, this,
Shorten the
I've reported
process.
on this at 2 meetings now.
right?
Based on the experience of another community that wants to move
Right.
faster than 1 year of waiting for DEP to approve it. DEP staff suggested this additional step to move them along, so we're learning from that experience. So maybe this would help us expedite their permit review.
Yeah, like the 15th. Yeah, yep, at 6 o'clock. Or 6:30.
Anybody else? 6 o'clock. Yeah. All right, good, thank you. Item number 7, which is the schedule of the town meeting.
You have to vote on it.
Oh, we did vote? Sorry, all in favor?
Aye.
Paying attention. Opposed? Abstained? Thank you. Item number 7, schedule the town meeting for the sale of 36 Art Killingworth Turnpike. So we've all discussed this, and we've all agreed on this. It's a parcel of land that we're selling, we got to hold a town meeting. So we are looking to hold a town meeting March 15th at 6 p.m. So we'll look for a motion to schedule the town meeting for March 15th,
What time?
6 p.m.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second.
Questions? All in favor?
That's, okay, March 15th at what?
6 o'clock.
Okay, so that's prior to our regular evening
Okay,
meeting.
great. That's-
Correct. Good. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Thank you. Next two are related to Morgan School. So the first is the Morgan School musical, the theater program ad. So we've done this in the past, so we got some information, a letter of recommendation, and some information about it. In the past, we've done a full page for $175. They are looking for the same. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Which one are we doing first?
We're doing the program ad, this one here, full page
Okay.
175. Good?
Good.
Questions, comments? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Thank you all. Item number 9, which is the project graduation funding request, and this is the same as last year. We did $1,500 for project graduation, and we will, and they're going to look for the same this year, so I'll look for a motion to approve that allocation.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Thank you. Item number 10 is the finance director's report. Sue?
Aye.
Tonight is the January results, which is the 7th month of fiscal year '23, that you've received in your packets. Total revenues for the month of January were $17.5 million. 15.8 of that was the tax revenue collection. 1.4 million was for state grant receipts, 129 of other revenues, and 56 for town services. The current tax collections of the grand taxes collected for the 7 months were 96.3% of the fiscal year '23 budget, compared to 96% in the prior year. The total for the all other tax revenues, including prior year taxes collected, supplemental motor vehicles, and tax interest, liens, and fees, was $930,000 for the 7 months ending January, $39,000 more than the prior year. The state grant revenues mentioned that we received of $1.4 million included the second ECS, which is the Education Cost Sharing Grant payment this fiscal year that was received as budgeted, and the remaining amount, $134,000 for the Town Road 8 grant, so that's now been received in full. The other revenues I mentioned of the $129,000 in January included $92,000 of investment income, and $33,000 of the sale of various fixed assets at DPW. The town service revenues of $56,000 included building fees of $25,000 and $17,000 of the town clerk, $17,000 for the town clerk revenues. Please look at my report for further detail on other revenue items. Total general fund revenues from all sources year-to-date for the 7 months are 89.9% of the fiscal year '23 budget, compared to 88% last year, so we're slightly ahead. Expenses for the month of January were $5.8 million, and which included $3.9 million for the normal recurring expenses, as well as $1.9 million of debt payments that we made. Included in the $3.9 million was $2.7 for the education operating expenses, $700,000 for salary and fringe, and then the rest of the detail you can look at in our report. Investment balances were $35.3 million at the end of January, and as I mentioned, interest income was $92,000 for the month of January, and is $293,000 for the 7 months. The contingency account has been reduced by $17,000 for the transfer that was approved at last month's meeting. That balance is $147,000 as of January 31st. The fund balance remains unchanged as was reported last month. Those schedules are attached to my report, so you can take a look at those. And ARPA, the town has expended a total of $473,000 as of mid-January. Mid-February, that is. And you can see the detailed schedule in my report as well for those. That's the conclusion of my report. Anybody have any questions?
Questions? Thank you, Sue.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sue.
All right, item number 11 is the chairman's report. So just quickly, so I know, I guess we still talk about a lot is the communications and trying to get as much information as we possibly can out to everybody and just different avenues of how we can do it, because obviously, there's multiple ways that we can do all of this. So this past week, I had asked Mary to send out again a link for people that they can sign up and register, and shared it out. So that many people kind of saw it, viewed it, liked it. So I don't know what that'll bring about, but, just another avenue that we can continue to get the information out to people so that they understand that we do have certain things available to them to get information. I think as a council, I think it's our, as a council, we need to make sure that we provide that information out to the public as well, letting them know how they can get involved, come, the meetings are videotaped, they can come to a meeting, whether it be a morning or an evening meeting, and that would be a way for them, obviously, to get involved and to kind of hear and see what's going on, because we do provide a lot of information at these meetings about what's going on in town, trying to get that information out to everybody through social media posts and stuff like that. It's, we really don't know what's getting out. So I just want to let everybody know that we're going to continue to work on that and, do our best to see what we can, come up with to kind of keep going on that path to make sure we're getting out as much as we can to everybody. So, and if people do ask you about it, obviously I think it's important that we kind of direct them where to go. So if people are asking about what's going on in town, let them know. Come to a town meeting. I mean, come to a meeting. Go to the website and sign up for alerts. Give them kind of a path of where they can go to get information about what's going on in town. Obviously, we videotape our meetings, which is another important outlet and avenue for them to kind of get some updates as well. So we'll continue to do it because I know it's important for this council, because we've talked about it a lot, about how we're going to get that information out.
I appreciate that it's been much more populated, the information, there's a lot more showing up,
Yep.
which I really like. Some time ago, we talked about the fact that to sign up for the news flash, you have to go through multiple questions. And I'll ask again, but I think you told me. Is there any way to sign up for the news flash and not have to go through everything else? Because I know a lot of people have given up on that.
It gives you a broad list of everything you can sign up to receive notifications on.
Right.
So that's what it is.
It's just that the news flash is at the bottom. Is
Yeah.
there any way to put it at the top, or no? It just
No.
comes that way?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the website, yeah.
And I also appreciate the budget.
Now that it's the right one.
No.
That's great.
All right. Anything else?
Chris, one question.
Yep.
Would it be appropriate to have a state rep report?
Would it be appropriate?
Yes, so we can know what's going on there, because we know what's going on here, but we don't know what's going on there and what it is that you're pursuing for us.
Yeah, I mean, if you're interested in having that on the agenda, then that could be.
I don't follow it very closely.
Yeah. It's up to you. I mean, if people are interested in knowing what's going on, I'd certainly bring the information here. Not a problem.
I would like to, I don't know.
Maybe have it on the morning meeting?
What do you mean, you're not going to give me a lot of time? I mean, I might need a lot of time, Tom. I mean, this could be like an hour, hour and a half.
Oh, boy.
At 8 o'clock in the morning, you're gonna give me an hour?
Yeah.
Sure, we can do it at the morning meeting.
Well, we don't have the finance director's report, so.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea. Yep, I could do that. All right, anybody else? All right, move on to the town manager's report.
So report, this meeting will be verbal rather than written, because putting together the budget for presentation tomorrow has consumed a lot of my time. As Carrie noted, the budget survey, which is our partnership with the math department at Morgan School, is up again for the third time as a Google form in order to solicit some early public feedback and to give the school students an opportunity to work on a statistical project. So there's a little bit of a hiccup in the product that we were given. The school has fixed that, and the survey is now up again and operational. They're also going to work on a data visualization for the council. Was trying to put together some performance measures for what different departments are doing, and this is another opportunity for the kids to get some experience in how you would present data in a real world situation. So there should be more coming from Morgan School helping us with putting information out. Last meeting, the council acted on creating a coastal resiliency task force. The different boards and commissions who are supposed to populate that have been all noticed that they need to provide us with candidates. I have a candidate from Conservation, and I have a candidate from Planning and Zoning. We're still waiting for the others to actually meet and give us names. So I assume you'll want to act on that and then figure out who the council appointee is once we've got more than two to act on. Other items, so RiverCog had applied for a grant, a regional grant under the Thriving Communities Program, which is a federal DOT program to provide planning assistance and capacity building for, in our case, towns, to look at how you can improve planning and transportation connections and the like. So that grant was funded, and we are moving forward with the process of getting this ongoing assistance from the US DOT to help with augmenting our planning and then everyone else that's in the region that's participating. So that there'll be more to come eventually on where that goes. CCM has been having a series of meetings now that the legislative session is open. There's some interesting topics of conversation already moving through the process. Just a couple of bills to be aware of. There is one of some significance that deals with MIRA, which is how we dispose of some of our garbage. It's a governor's bill which would eliminate the current MIRA board, restructure it. Municipal voice would be cut out of the MIRA board, and it would just be state departments making decisions. The reserves that MIRA is currently holding, which arguably we have a right to, and under current legislation should be provided back to the towns to help with recycling and other types of solid waste disposal, would all go away and be swept to remediate the site in Hartford where the trash to energy plant has been. So there is some concern on where those MIRA dollars would go. They could be used to help set up regional wastewater, regional solid waste authorities, which is a topic of conversation in this area for how we could handle our solid waste now that MIRA is in decline. So it's a bill that has some concerns for member municipalities in MIRA. I know some of the other towns in our area are concerned about the legislation and particularly the sweeping of dollars, which arguably we have a right and certainly have an interest in. So there'll be hopefully more to come on that as that bill works its way through committee, and we'll see what happens next. The governor did drop his budget last week. If you did not get into the nitty-gritty of it, Sue and I have been into the nitty-gritty of it. It does translate into a reduction in state aid to Clinton. So the governor is following through on the current statute for how educational cost-sharing grant dollars are provided. It was on a process to taper down slowly for towns like Clinton, where you had reducing population, to provide more funding to other school districts in need. The governor held that in abeyance for 2 years with COVID and the like, but his budget goes back to following the formula, which has a significant reduction this year, followed by a significant reduction next year. So those reductions in state aid translate into local tax dollar pressures based on that decision. A couple other items. The fish ladder project behind the Big White Plaza. We were looking at that, maybe that needs to become a dam removal project. The grant agency that is funding the engineering work is fine with the change in scope. There's a little bit more due diligence that has to be done. The Water Authority is doing some additional work to support their arguments, which I put forward before. So we're thinking in March, we'll probably have a good direction on where the project could be headed, and then move forward from there with engineering and likely some public outreach. The last meeting I gave in my report included a question on the town's participation in the Regional Housing Commission, which is a product of the COG that came out of their regional housing plan, which we participated in. This is the description that came out of the Regional Housing Plan of what the Regional Housing Commission would be. It's set up by the COG as an entity that's advisory. Participation is voluntary. They would help collect information to educate and inform the region's towns about affordable housing issues. The question is whether Clinton wants to participate and then who the liaison would be. I gave you that verbally last meeting, so probably want to think about this so that it could appear at a future meeting to make a decision as to whether it's something we're going to participate in or not. And then finally, at the staff level, we're doing interviews with town engineering firms to make a decision as to who's going to continue to serve as the town's engineer. That's a contracted service, it's not an employee. So we have one firm that we've worked with for a number of years. We issued an RFP. We're now plowing through, doing interviews, and then we should be able to make a decision in terms of who's going to serve us from professional standards after that process is complete. And that's all I have.
Carl, for the clarification on that coastal resiliency,
Yep.
so we're looking for members from each, like P and Z, and so if P and Z comes to you and they give you a candidate, they're the ones that recommend it to you?
Well, so you guys would have to make the appointment. They gave me who they either picked or somebody volunteered to do it. So that's kind of what I'm getting is they are discussing it as a body, and they are finding who on their board wants to participate in this, and then they're handing me that name. So those names would all come to you guys for final appointment, since you're the ones who would appoint. You have to have that same conversation also of, there's a seat for the town council, so you would have to have a dialogue here for who's going to be the volunteer on the town council to participate in the group.
Anybody else?
The Mira, I joined the Conservation Commission meeting, and they were talking about composting. Are they working with you towards composting? Are we talking about composting in town?
Composting what?
Composting vegetable matter,
Food scraps.
yes.
So Mira is not working with us on that? That is not,
I'm sorry, not Mira, but are we working on it as a town?
yeah, we're working on it as a town. So it's been apparently the state's policy that towns should recycle food scraps as a way to reduce solid waste. And that's, I guess, some of the policy decision that went into ending Mira as a trash-to-energy entity. It doesn't seem as if the permitting process has followed the public policy pronouncements. We applied for a permit to recycle food scraps into our leaf composting that we currently do at Public Works. We applied for that in June of '22. There was some questions back and forth that were answered, and in July of '22. We heard nothing after that. We heard in November that our permit had been moved to higher-ups to sign off on. And here we are in the middle of February, and we still have no answer. So the permitting process seems to be a little slow in getting that approved, because we're coming up on a year for something that we thought was a small lift. Our former state legislator did get involved, and it did not expedite anything, did not move along. Our state senator suggested that he would be the better individual to move it along based on his interaction and relationship with the DEP commissioner. So we are sitting in a regulatory limbo at this point in time, waiting for, well, it's been a long time for what should be a simple permit.
And this is simply a permit to allow residents to go to the,
It's a permit to allow us to collect food scraps and then take those food scraps and recycle them into leaf compost and have that as a product that we make available to the public. taking it and putting it in one of these companies that will take it away and put it in a digester or something like that, that net costs the town more. So our approach was to actually reduce the town's expense or not cost us more to do food scrap recycling, which is kind of the methodology some have taken, rather than just hiring a company to take it away, which costs us more. And I communicated that to Conservation last year in the budget, that our policy direction was not going to be increasing our solid waste cost. It was going to be keep it flat or decrease. They seem to be fine with that. We followed along that line, seeking this permit, and June to February is 8 months. So,
Is there any update on the RFP for Pearson?
once I'm done with the budget, I said it would be a first quarter of 2023 issue, and the budget is consuming a lot of my time. I have collective bargaining going on at the same time. Those are all things that have mandated deadlines, and I'm trying to work that into my work schedule. So, and I've advised you what the issues are. I've spoken to other members in the development community. I have a bonding question that I'm waiting for bond counsel to get me back an answer on, which I asked in November, and I still don't have an answer from them on. So there's moving pieces. I haven't forgotten about it. I said I would do it. It would be on the street in the first quarter. We're still on track for the first quarter.
Carl, budget question. Tomorrow we're going to hear from Mary Ann. Are we going to find out what the town's number is, or are we going to wait till the next one? Just a question.
So this will be how we've done it for the past, this will be the fourth budget that we've done. It will be the same as last year. I will present to you the town budget and a high level of everything, which will include the Board of Ed. I will give you a deep dive on the town side, and then I hand it off to Mary Ann, and Mary Ann does presentation on the Board of Ed side. That's what we did last year, that's what we did the 2 years before that, so that's our rhythm for presenting the budget. So that goes to you. Then the workshops are a follow-up, so you will get it on Thursday. The following week, we will go into it. So the assumption is that the council will be looking at the documentation you're given, and then we will march through the budget, department by department by department. I'll present it. If there's questions, ideas for cuts, revisions, whatever, that discussion takes place there. And then it all gets, everybody's got their night. So the town departments have 2 nights. 1 night's for the Board of Ed, and then there's a night for the council to just do a wrap-up before you send it off to a public hearing.
Anybody else? All right, hearing none, we will move on to council discussions. So one of the things that we do have to talk about, obviously the policy of having people submit their names to be appointed to the vacated seats that are appointed or reappointed. If we have more than one individual that has put their name forth for that committee, how do we handle that process? Because I think we're going to run into that already. Park and Rec has 2 people that have come forth, so that's going to be something that we'll get onto our next agenda. And so we kind of have to get a plan or policy in place on how we want to handle it. I think it's a little uncomfortable if we put both of the people in the front row and we can start talking about them. I think that would be a little uncomfortable. So it's something that we can go into executive session and have discussions with each individual. I think it might be a better path, and then we can come to a consensus about who we would like and come out and then vote. So you don't put anybody on the spot. I just think it's uncomfortable if we have both of them sitting here at the same time. That's just my opinion. Open to the council about how we want to handle it, because it's going to happen at the next meeting.
So they would be on the agenda for the next meeting?
Correct.
And then we would not discuss it until we go into executive session?
Right, we can ask each one to come
And
in.
then they come in.
Yep, and then at the end, we can, if we come out with a consensus after we talk to both of them, then we can make the appointment at the end of the meeting.
Sounds
That
good.
makes sense.
Sounds good.
Good? All right, so that's how we'll handle that one next week. All right.
Just out of curiosity, was Christina a liaison for any commission?
Nope.
Okay.
Anybody else? Council discussion? No, good. All right. We will now move on to town council committee liaison reports. Anybody have anything?
I went to PNC, well, I watched PNC, and they actually had no applications. I'd never seen that before. And so they were discussing zoning regs in good detail. And that's about it.
EDC met but didn't have enough people for a meeting, and I think there are more people here now than there were last night, right, Bob? Their goal is obviously to give us, to present their goals and mission statement to the town council when appropriate. They have to vote on it first.
Okay.
And just as a suggestion, we have a new member who has a good experience at EDC.
Mhm.
If he wants to be the liaison with EDC, I'd be more than happy to concede my seat.
We'll talk about that at the meeting.
We can talk about it.
You're already giving him a job. Well, he hasn't even sat down yet, you're already giving him a job.
I know, you already
Already throwing away your jobs, Tom.
You might leave for.
First a meeting, now another job. Anybody else?
Just
Attended the police commission meeting, Monday. Not to get everybody excited, but, in the next month or so, we are going to be a little critical on staffing in the police department. We have 2 officers out injured at the present time, and they doesn't look like they're gonna be back in the very near future. I think May is the first one and possibly August. We have not filled the vacancy of the officer that left, I guess the candidate that was picked and whatever, I guess somehow dropped out of the school or whatever, wasn't interested. Also, we may have 3 other officers leaving the department within the next 60 days. So, it's,
That's
you
weird.
know, gonna be a critical time for us to make some decisions, because I'm sure the chief and the police department are gonna come to Mr. Kilduff and to you, Chris, and try to work out a way of how we can get ahead of the game, if you will, and maybe pre-hire, or, you know, I don't know, I don't wanna speak out of turn, I know they're gonna come to Carl. But I just wanted to give you that little heads up that, it's a little dire straits right now in the police staffing, or it will be in the next coming months.
Were they injured on the job?
Yeah.
What's that?
Were they injured on the job?
I have no idea, I didn't.
The ones that are leaving, are they retiring or are they transferring?
I believe they're retiring.
Okay.
That is big.
Hmm?
That's a lot.
Yeah,
That's a
it is.
big-
You know, it's just when things were real nice and solid and we were looking good, all of a sudden,
Murphy's Law.
Murphy's Law.
Thank you, Dennis. Anybody else? All right, hearing none, we'll look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same, thank you very much.